Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Dr. Glenvo, and tonight's guest, I don't even have to make an introduction for her. She's an entrepreneur. She's a creator of Front Office Rocks. She's a speaker. She's an author. She's a super mom. I don't know. Did I leave anything else out? She's a hardcore Ravens fan. Anything
That's
else? I think I pretty much hit.
I'm technically challenged apparently tonight because we're a little late because of my technology. So we'll add that in there a little bit.
So anyways, Laura Hatch. Laura, thank you so much for jumping on. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm super good. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, man, I'm so excited too. Every day on social media, whether it's my group, whether it's Chris's group, whether it's Anissa's group, or any of these groups, people always have questions about the front office, right? Yeah, we have other team members. We got hygienists. We got dental assistants. But for some reason, I guess there's like that 10 feet of space between the op and the front office. People always have issues with that. And, I'm so glad to get you on because so many members are always asking questions. So guys, for those who are jumping on here, ask questions here. Laura's jumping on and asking questions. But before we jump on into it, let's talk about some important stuff.
All right.
The Ravens are playing the Chiefs this weekend.
And we're doing well so far.
That's a huge game.
I know. I'm excited.
Now, is it going to be in Baltimore or is it going to be in Kansas City?
It's actually funny. I don't even know. I want to say it's in Kansas City.
Well,
I checked my phone, but I might disconnect us again, and I don't want to do that.
So actually, you're right. It is in Kansas City, and you know what? What that means is that it's going to be at a decent time for you to watch it.
No, it's 10 a.m. again. I'm in California. Almost all of our games at 10 a.m. It's really annoying. I know.
Oh my gosh. So anyways, that's a huge game there. That's going to be awesome. I'm definitely going to be tuning in. Two quarterbacks are doing really well. So, I'll just throw a shameless plug for the Cowboys. We're 2-0. We're probably going to be 3-0. We're playing the Dolphins. So that's great. We're looking forward to playing them.
Can you get as many points as we did against them?
I don't know. We'll have to see. We might have to do like a friendly wager there or something. But anyways, guys, thanks for jumping on. Type in the comments section any questions you may have. And Laura, I want to start with this. Why is it we started our broadcast with this question? Why is it the front office? Why is that always such an issue with so many practices? Why is that?
Well, I personally think, and I write about it in the book, I write articles about it all the time. It's because of the lack of, as a doctor, you know what assistants should be doing. You work hand in hand with them. As a hygienist, you know what they should be doing. You learned it in dental school. You clinically know what a hygienist should be doing. But front office, you didn't have the training. You don't have the knowledge. You didn't get the education around it. So it kind of seems foreign. It'd be like putting a handpiece in my hand and telling me to go, drill on a tooth. Like, I get the concept, but I don't know how to do it. And so I can't do that. So I think it's not, it's the 10 feet, but it's more of just the lack of knowledge, and the fear to walk up and go, I don't know what you're supposed to be doing. So let's figure this out together, right? Let's learn, let's grow together. So that's really where I'm trying to bridge that gap.
And almost everyone who's jumping on right now knows who you are. But you know what? I want you to give a little background there. Here's the thing. Laura Hatch is not just someone who writes books, right? She's not someone who just writes books. She's not someone who goes around speaking, like you're going to be speaking at all these different events. You actually have worked in the front office. You've gone through all these issues. You had the pain points. You've gone through that. And that's actually what motivated for you to create Front Office Rocks. So let's go over, and we're having people log on right now. Let's go over what's most of the attendees, most of the people who use your software, who are coached by you, who go to your events. What is one of the most commonly asked questions? Let's go over the most commonly asked questions.
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this in your group or not, or to you, but a lot of times it's just how to deal with the doctors. That's a big question.
Hey, feel free to say. We got a lot of team members in here too.
Yeah, right. It's really, we as the front office team, we have motivation. We want to help. We want to grow. But we don't get the same training that the clinical team gets a lot of times. We don't get the training the doctors get. The doctors come back, they're excited about something, right? They've gone to a training, they want to implement productive scheduling, they want to implement going paperless or something, and then they come to us and they say, make this happen. and we try to figure out how to do it, right? And so I think a lot of times it's just, how do we do what the doctor wants us to do? And I have the right ideas, I have the right intention, but I didn't go to receptionist school, scheduler school, treatment plan coordinator school, just like you didn't learn front office, right? So we've got to kind of come together and try to figure that out. And a lot of times it's the lack of communication and the lack of training, I think, which is the biggest issues.
And that is so true what you just said there, because you think about it, you got dental school,
Mm-hmm.
you got hygiene school. I mean,
Right.
you got dental assistant school, you got dental lab tech school, and for front office, it's kind of like, hey, here's Open Dental, here's a phone, and here's this kind of manual that's kind of half done, and go.
Right. Yep. And I mean, as a doctor, you don't actually know either, which is part of the reason why I started Front Office Rocks. Is all my doctor friends would say they had to hire somebody with experience in front. And because you can teach them, you don't know. And so you're kind of held by, I need to hire somebody with experience. But I believe that you don't have to hire somebody with experience. But then they'd say, okay, great, but where do we train them? How do we
Right.
train them if they don't have experience? And that's part of the reason why I started Front Office Rocks, because I think you can get somebody with an amazing personality, troubleshooting skills, can multitask, understands customer service, understands numbers and money and AR, teach them the dental, right? I didn't know dental when I got into it. So you can teach them that part of it.
Well, let me ask you this, Laura. So when you got into, the working in the front office, you came literally with no experience and you pretty much learned everything on your own. Oh, Laura, did I lose you there?
None. Yep. No, I read all the articles in dental economics. Oh, we've said all, Glenn. Is this better?
No, we're good.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't know if that's better or not.
All right. So, and you were saying?
So I went and saw the big speakers. I saw Linda Miles and Lois Banta, and I went to I read all the articles. I had a binder, but that was really how I learned dental, right? And there wasn't a great way to learn. I mean, I still remember learning the codes and the surfaces and the procedures we do. And so there wasn't a really good way to learn dental. And so that's kind of what happens if you feel like you need to hire somebody, but you don't know how to teach them, then how are they going to learn, all the stuff that we do? So that's how I just kind of had to figure it out, like most people. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. There's a ton of us who are in the front who just had to kind of figure it out over time.
And I have to admit, when I got out of school and when I started my practice, unfortunately, Front Office Rocks wasn't around, and I basically had to like pick people's brains and learn on my own. But the thing is, it's all about finding the right shortcut, right? You can do it the hard way, you can do it the easy way, or you can do it the smart way. And the smart way is working with someone who's been there before, who's gone through all the same things. So let's talk about Front Office Rocks. Let's say, for example, there's docs watching right now. Okay, and maybe some are startups, maybe some are the practice just starting, maybe their practice has been going for a while and they've been just kind of winging it, right? Well, now you don't have to wing it anymore. And let's say they want to get into Front Office Rock. What's the best way to do it? Because I mean, I use Front Office Rocks, and I remember when I got on the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff here. Like, where do I start? I don't even know where to start. What's the best way to do it?
Well, I'm learning and growing just like my clients are. So there's a lot of content on there. Basically, what I did was a brain dump. I would just put everything on there that I thought somebody would need to know in the front office. So there's over 300 videos on there. And when I first started, people would I'm like, here, sign up, go. And then they go, where do I start? Like, what do I do? There's so much. And every office wants to work on something different, signs up for a different reason. So we're reorganizing the site so now that you can go by a certain position or by certain subjects. So let's say your problem is cancellation to no-shows, then go here and watch these videos. If your problem is communication with your team, then you're going to go here and watch these videos. Then we also have an onboarding team now and a customer service team who basically help you learn how to navigate through the site, find out what your pains are in your practice, whether you're a startup or you've hired somebody new, and then helps develop a track for you, because there is a lot of content in there. And we want to make sure that you're using it the best way you can for your practice. Because if you don't use it, it's like some dental tool you buy at a show, you put it on the shelf and you never use it again. And we don't want that. We really want you using it in the office.
Now, let me ask you this. Would you suggest that the practice owner goes through it too?
Yes, I do actually. Not all of it. Like I said, there's a lot of content on there, but the doctors, I have a lot of new doctors coming out of dental school right now who buy it when they start a practice or buy a practice, and they're binge watching the videos, which I think is awesome because at least they're watching the videos to get the idea of what their team should be saying or
Sure.
doing, and then they can have that conversation with them. I don't think you should watch every video. There's way too many videos on there, but you should go in and learn on. And I have leadership training videos, I have hiring videos, I have management videos and startup videos. So I have one specific to doctors, but I also would say go in there and watch the ones on how to answer the phone, so that when you walk through the reception area and you hear your receptionist handling a call, you know whether or not it's how she or he should be handling it or not. So yeah, I definitely think you should go in there and watch some of the videos. And a lot of people watch it as teams because I think that shows a good leadership,
Oh, wow. Okay.
accountability. Like, watch a video together with your team and then start a discussion for your practice. How do you want to do this in your practice? Do you agree or disagree with me? How would you implement it? All of that kind of thing.
I think that is such great advice. I think because also it sets that kind of culture, right?
Yes.
You want to get better. And you're not just saying, hey, team members, go watch the video while I go out and eat lunch somewhere else and come back.
Yeah.
Watch it with your team. That sets a good example. Now,
Yeah.
Laura, we got some questions here. Can we start?
Okay.
Can I start fielding some questions to you?
For sure.
Okay, here we go. All right. So this viewer says, what are your top 3 videos? Man, it's kind of like asking who's your favorite child, I mean, kind of hard, right? But
Well,
what do you think? Your top 3 videos?
I can tell you right now, because if you go to my YouTube channel, you can actually see on there. So insurance is a hot topic, phones are a hot topic, and cancellations and no-shows are hot topics. And I don't have one video on each. I have a bunch of videos on each one of those subjects, but those are always the hot topics, which is
Okay,
answering
well,
phones.
I'm going to ask you about one of the hot topics because that's a
Okay.
hot topic with me right now, right? My practice has been open for 10 years, and I'll tell you what, I still have to deal with cancellations and no-shows.
Yep. Everybody
Right.
does. Yep.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what are some some good tips, some best practices for dealing with cancellations and no-shows.
Well, I have to tell you, there's some speakers out there that would say they're going to teach you how to, get rid of cancellations and no-shows. And I don't think it's possible. It's just not going to happen. You have to think about what we do for a living. We put drills and needles in patients' mouths, and we ask them to pay us thousands of dollars for that. So there's going to be cancellations because it's money, it's drills, they're scared, stuff comes up. So we can never fully eliminate cancellations and no-shows, but we do have control over them, and we can lower them significantly. I think there's 3 different types of cancellations and no-shows. There's new patient cancellation no-shows, there's doctor production cancellation no-shows, and then there's hygiene. And each one of them have their own reasons or their own issues to address. For new patients, it's because we're rushing too much on the phone, or we're not even answering our phone, which drives me crazy, but we're rushing too much on the phone. We're not building rapport with them, and we're pushing them too far out. We're not getting them in right away. So for new patients, you need to build rapport and get them in ASAP. For doctor production patients, it's because they weren't sold. Everybody knows, you put them in the schedule and you go, that's 50-50 if they're going to show up, right? They said they'd be here. So the way to fix that is, if you really are worried about a patient not showing up, have them pay something. Have them pay for the
Like a
treatment,
deposit?
something. Yeah, because money talks. You're going to find out if somebody's really on board when you ask them to pay, right? And I'd rather find that out in the consult room, because we have a gut feeling when somebody's in the schedule. We go, I'm not sure if they're going to show up. Let me double book that patient, right? And it's like, well, why do we do that to ourselves, right? So for doctors, it's case acceptance for sure. And then for hygiene, we need to change the culture we've set up. We've set up that it's okay to cancel in hygiene or to move their appointments, because we've made it okay, right? They'll cancel with us to go to their hairdresser because we're like, oh, you can't make it. Are you sure? Okay. Well, we could charge you $50, but we're not gonna, can you come tomorrow? And we
Yeah.
basically just taught them it's okay to keep rescheduling and rebooking their appointment. And so we really need to change that and not make it okay to continually move your appointment, and really put a priority to it.
That's great advice. And I'll tell you what, Laura, I don't know about you, but if my wife cancels her hair appointment, it's going to be months before she gets it. She's like,
Yep.
she doesn't care if I need a ride, if my car broke down, she's going to say, get an Uber.
Wait.
I got to go to my hair appointment. It's
Yep.
that important.
Yep. And so that's what I teach when it comes to retraining our patients. we need to not seem so easily to rebook. We need to not make it so, we need to say, hey, listen, you really need to show up for this appointment. And if you can't, I'm going to ask you next time, you have to give us notice. I can rebook you, but we don't have spots available for 3 weeks, right? You could have wide open schedule tomorrow, but if you continue to rebook the patients, you're just teaching them it's okay. They've got openings. I can call and move my appointment. And we need to really change that culture that we built.
You know, one of the things that I learned from Paul Homily, we all love Paul Homily. We all kind of learn from him from different lessons. But one of the things that I learned from him is when it comes to case acceptance, a big part of it's on the doctor's end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, if we're going in there and we're presenting treatment and we're just hightailing out of there, right, and not setting things up for our treatment coordinator or whatnot, then it's like half the battle is lost already.
Well, and that's part of the reason the name of the book that I wrote is that, because doctors focus on production, which it's fine. That's the way you were trained. That's how you know, that's really where your focus is. But we focus more on production than we do case acceptance. We focus more on production than team meetings. We focus more on production than a well-run, efficient schedule. So it's like squeeze it in. I want production. But if you are missing out on spending a little time with a patient to help them get the treatment they need, because you've got a filling over here, or you've got a quick emergency you got to see, you're weighing production over case acceptance. So you really need to make sure that you're, putting patient acceptance and treatment planning up there with production.
That's great advice there. I mean, and the thing is if you don't, you're going to be on this you're basically going to be on a bicycle, going room to room, skating around room to room.
Roller skates. Yeah.
I mean, roller skate, that's fun at the skating rink, but not so much at your practice. And you know what you just said there, Laura, you got a big thumbs up from someone in the audience. And Kelly Schwartz, he had a little comment here. As a coach, Front Office Rocks is a great tool to keep the team on track in sport. We love them. Thank you, Kelly, for that. And
thank you, Kelly.
And obviously, you guys are both going to be at the Dental Intel Summit. I was supposed to be there. I feel so bad that I won't be able to make it, but that's going to be awesome. But the great thing is that let's talk a little bit about that. Why is it so important to know your numbers when you're dealing with? Why would anyone in the front office need to know the numbers? Why shouldn't it just be like the docs? Like, okay, I know what I need to do. Why is it so important to have the front office know about it?
I actually think the whole team needs to know. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to Dental Intel, they think it's a doctor-only tool, and it's super not a doctor-only tool. It's a team tool for sure. For me, it's like, how do we know if we're winning at a game if we don't know what the score is? How do we know if we're improving? How do we know how we're doing for our patients? We have to evaluate. I mean, most offices think they're growing, they're doing better. They think their case acceptance is at 90% or 80%. They think they're reappointing 95% of their patients. And when you actually look at the numbers, you're not. Most dental offices in the United States are shrinking. Most of the time in the front office, we're attempting to appoint our next patients, but we're not reappointing them. And we need to know that so we know where we are, and then find ways to improve that. So I love Dental Intel for the front office because it makes the front office team accountable. It gives us numbers where we are. It's easy for me to go to my doctor and say, look how much I rock. Look what I did today, right? And it gives you the patients the list of who to call, who didn't appoint, who's going to be coming inactive or needs to be reactivated, who's overdue, right there. So it's going to make your front office that much more efficient.
I love it. And guys, if you like what you're hearing right now from Laura Hash, type in the comments section. Front Office Rocks. Type in the comments section. And if you have some questions, drop some questions as well. She's on here to do the Q&A. And right now we're talking about the most commonly asked questions, the biggest pain points that most practice. And we were just talking about cancellations and no-shows. And I'm going to talk, Laura, I'm going to talk about another thing that you just touched upon that annoys you. And that's that phone.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
That's that phone. I mean, that's a whole Facebook Live in itself, just talking about phone. But let's talk about what are the biggest issues when it comes to answering the phones or answering it the right way, or just phone skills in general in the front office.
Sure. So the first thing I would say for anybody listening is make sure your phones are being answered. There's a good percentage of offices in the country that aren't answering their phones. You're closed on Friday, nobody's answering. You go to lunch, you put a dental assistant to cover the phones. Like, Your phones need to be answered for sure. There's no excuse anymore not to be answering your phones. Secondly, you need to make sure anybody answering your phones is trained. You know, we tend to hire somebody new and say, let's try them out, put them on the phones. Let's see how they do on the phones.
Or kind
Right?
of like, Laura, do you ever get this? Hey, I'm gonna just hire some part-time person and I'm just gonna stick them in the front. How
Right.
often do you hear that?
You know what that reminds me of? You ever get the patients who bring their kids in to you and they say, well, we want to see how you do before we come in?
Yeah.
And you're like, seriously? Like you're sending your kids to me first, right? Like, right? It's the same. You're taking somebody brand new and, so for me, the phone, I talk about this all the time when I speak. The phone is the most important piece of technology in your dental office. I don't care if you have a CEREC, I don't care if you have cone beam, I don't care if you do sleep apnea, I don't care what you do. If we're not answering the phones well, you're not doing a lot of that dentistry or those procedures. So we really have to make sure that we respect the phone, that it's being answered, that your team is trained on how to handle the phones, and that it's a priority in your practice. Because a lot of times we think it's a nuisance, like, oh, the phones are so busy and just let it go to voicemail. And no, that's our lifeline to the outside. That's our connection to our patients, both new and, people calling in for treatment plans or wanting to pay bills or schedule appointments.
And another thing too is that dentists and myself included, we spend so much money, right, to
Uh-huh.
get those phones to ring, and then
Yep.
for it to ring and not have someone answer it, that is
Yep.
insane. That is
Yep.
insane. Hey, we got some questions here. You ready for some more
Good. All
questions?
right. I'm
All right,
ready.
here
Let's
we
do
go.
it.
All right, this is a little long one, so let me make sure I read it right. And for whoever posted this, I'm sorry if I butcher it, but I'm gonna try to read it really quickly here. Okay, what is a good way? What is a good way to manage patients who are calling and asking for the cost of procedures? How should our staff handle those calls? Or do you have a simple script for this? So
Yep.
basically the price shoppers, how do you deal with these people?
So here's the thing. Somebody who's shopping means it's somebody who knows they need something, but the last dentist didn't sell them on it, didn't get them to do it in their office. So I always look at shoppers as a good thing, right? Because this is somebody who knows they need some dentistry typically, much better than a new patient coming in that doesn't know. So I don't want to give prices out over the phone if I can avoid it, because we shouldn't let them pick on price. You're probably not the cheapest dentist in town. You wouldn't want someone to pick on the cheapest dentist anyway, right? So I'm going to avoid giving fees. I'm going to explain the patient why. We don't give fees over the phone. We can't diagnose over the phone. Let's get you in for a second opinion or a consultation. And I'm going to do that with them a couple times to really try to get them to come in, because you can really we can't diagnose over the phone. We don't know, right? So then if they're really pushing, I'm going to say, listen, every dentist is different. One dentist might put a filling in a tooth and another dentist might put a crown. We don't know till you come in. And if they push more and they say, well, give me a range, then I'm going to say, it's anywhere between $200 and $2,000, right? Like filling to corn crown, there's your range, right? And then if they keep pushing, if they're just one of those patients that they're not coming in unless you give them the price, then I say give them the price, because more than likely this patient's not going to be the kind of patient you want anyway.
Mhm.
You've already explained to them 3 or 4 times why you can't give a price over the phone, and then just, what, our crown is whatever, and they're probably not going to come to you anyway. And your doctor should probably thank you, because they would be one that would want to negotiate fees and show up late, not pay for x-rays. So but I really would want to try to convert all shoppers to consultations.
I love that. I love the fact that you put out certain scenarios. They might need a
Yeah.
filling, they might need a crown. You don't know. Just because someone told you needed a root canal and a crown, maybe you need something else,
Right.
right?
My
And you
doctor
won't
needs
know
a
unless you
surgery.
come in. And
Exactly.
then at that point, you just let your team wow them. So I just got a message
Yep.
in here. We have a question here, and this question is: this doctor's asking, okay, well, how I want to start front office rocks. Okay, I have a small team. What's the best way to approach the training? So I think we kind of answered it about. We were joking around saying like, hey, we could binge watch it like you watching Stranger Things on Netflix or something, like binge watch it. But if you really want it as a consistent tool, like what's
Yep.
the best practice that you've seen other people do? What's the
So
best
so there's
practice?
there's 3 different ways that you can use it, and we can help you. We handhold along the way, but there's 3 different ways. One is new hire training. So if you have a new hire, you put them on the videos and you have them do videos and you follow the track. The second one is subject-based training. So if you sign up and you have some issues, like we said, on cancellations or building a productive schedule or phone training, then go in and work on the subject first that you need the most help with. Or lastly, do it as a team. Like either designate everybody gets an hour to go do training throughout the week, or do it in your morning huddles, do it in your team meetings, do it together. I love that one because when the doctor can get involved with it, the office manager can get involved. My whole idea behind it is to get discussions happening in your practice, right? It's not to change the way you do things, or it's to get you guys talking about, well, how do we want to handle patients that come late? How do we want to handle emergencies trying to come in? And I offer suggestions. Now you guys decide how you want to do it in the practice. But like I said, we have customer service reps who can help you implement it however it works best for your practice.
So I'm gonna bring up a story here, and I heard this story because I've seen Laura speak so many times, and I love this story. And it's a story of Laura when you got the bike. And I love that. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because look, you got the bike, and you had to like learn how to ride the bike, and you had to put some time into it. And the reason I'm bringing that up is, when you're doing training and you're training your team, right? You can just wish and hope your team gets it, but you actually have to designate time to train. Like if you want to do anything, if you're training for a 5K, or if you're trying to do an Ironman, or you're trying to do all these things, you got to train, right? You don't just jump up and start doing it. So talk about, why is that important? And what's the best way to kind of set that aside? Obviously, we're together in Platinum, and we know the importance of setting time aside, but for those who are listening, why is that important? What's the best way to do that?
Well, the biggest issue is implementing training in dental offices, right? And we need to do regular training. So like you said, if I'm motivated to learn how to ride a bike, and he's talking about road bikes, just so you guys know, I know how to ride bikes, okay? But I was learning how to be like a road bike cyclist with a fancy, really couple $1,000 bike. And I fell a couple times. So I'm learning. But you have to continually train. And the thing is if you ever notice somebody after an Ironman or after a 5K or whatever, they stop going to the gym, they start eating, they deserve some burgers, and then it's 2 months later and they're like, nothing fits anymore. I got to go back to the gym. So I believe in continual training because of that, because you could do my training for 6 months and say the practice is doing great and the team's saying the right verbal skills and everybody's doing amazing, and you end the training 6 months from now, I guarantee you're probably going to be back to kind of where you were when you started, because we get beat up in the dental office. Let me just say, patients tell us every day they don't like coming to our office. Mm-hmm. Insurance companies are on our case every day saying we're overcharging, we're putting the codes in wrong. Patients are mad about their bills. We just get beat up, and we need something that's going to continue to build us up and remind us why we're here and teach us, because we'll cut corners and we'll stop smiling as much and we'll stop being so good with the patients. And so I believe that regular training, just like regular fitness, regular, things, meditation, whatever it is you do to feed yourself, you need to do to your team if you want to keep that environment and culture going in the right direction.
And you know what? And I'm going to speak as a person who actually uses Front Office Rocks. I was determined, my team and I, and especially myself, I was determined I was going to watch all the videos. I was going to finish it and say, I'm done. But you know what? I'll tell you what. For some reason, each time I felt like I was really finishing things up, magically there's like 10 more videos. Like it just kept on coming and coming. And the thing is, that's what I love about Front Office Rocks is that, you could try to be an overachiever, try to finish it all. You'll never finish it all because she's always adding more content. Right. But the thing is that you're always getting, whether you like it or not, right. Sometimes you're getting a new team member, right? Yep. Maybe they're shifting their focus, and maybe they were the front, like the receptionist, now they're doing treatment plans, or maybe they're the office manager anymore. So it's something that you can always keep using. And that's what I love Front Office Rocks.
And you should be continually improving in different areas. So maybe when you start, it's like phone skills and customer service, but then you get good at that. Well, let's start fixing the schedule. And then you get better at that. Let's start working on team communication. Like there should always be something you're improving in your practice. If you stay the same, you're gonna go back down again. So you always should be working on something new.
And we got someone that says, love Laura Hatch. Well, we love Laura Hatch too. That's why she's on here. So keep asking those questions, keep putting those comments there. And we got someone who's like, yes, Front Office Rocks, and so does Call Force. Well, hey Corey, I don't know if you put her up to it, but you do awesome too. I love Call Force as well. Yeah. So Laura, so here's the thing. Recently, and you've been doing it, it's not recent, but I was so excited when Front Office Rocks when Laura Hatch she did her worldwide tour. Okay, nationwide, not worldwide.
Yeah.
Hopefully world one of these days. But nationwide, she did the nationwide tour. She came through Dallas, and my team members went there. And I'll tell you what, they said that they love the event. They said obviously Front Office Rocks is awesome, but when you have the Front Office Rocks live, that's
right. It's fun.
Let's talk about that because when obviously you have some events coming up, but let's talk about where you're going to be, and maybe if the Laura Hatch show comes to your town, you can go ahead and join. But let's talk about your upcoming events here.
Well, so for the rest of this year, I'm kind of speaking at other meetings. So I'm going to the Dental Whale Summit coming up in Las Vegas. So hopefully there'll be some people there, amazing speakers at that event. I'm super excited about that. Mm-hmm. Speaking in Buffalo, the Buffalo Niagara meeting. So I'm going to the East Coast in a couple of weeks, which I'm excited about. And then I'm on the Smiles at Sea cruise. Are you on that one this year?
Is that October?
October?
Is that the October one?
Yes.
So I am scheduled, but it depends. I got to make sure the boss is cool with me gone for like 5 days.
Well, let me put a plug in right now for Dentistry's Got Talent, because right before Smiles at Sea, there's a Dentistry's Got Talent competition. If you've never seen it, you got to log in and do it. You got to watch it. Amazing speakers coming up through the pipe, through the dentistry. And then there's a competition at the end where the ones who've won past competitions get to compete again. And I'm in that competition. So
guys, you got to vote for Laura just right now.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You got to get in for that because it's me and 5 other speakers, I think, competing. But then we're on Smiles at Sea. So and then that's it, I think, for me the rest of the year. Knock on wood, I'm done for the rest of the year. But next year, we're going to do 3 live events for Front Office Rocks, and we're going to change it up a little bit. I recently just did an event on the East Coast, and we had over 200 people at the event, which is amazing, right? Yeah. To have all that many rock stars, Front Office rock stars, and teams in the room was great. But it's expensive to run a meeting that big, and it's a lot of work. And like you said, your team liked it when it was intimate, and we could really, 200 people was a lot. So what we're going to do next year is we're going to change it up a little bit, and we're going to do 3 subject meetings, and they're going to be about 50 people who can come to the actual live event. So the subjects will be phone skills, customer service, and treatment planning. Then we'll have scheduling, and I forgot what the other one is. Case acceptance is the third one. So we're going to have 3 subjects. So you can come to all 3. Or if you can't make it, we're going to live stream it. So you
wait, hold up.
Right.
Did you say live stream?
Live stream.
So you're saying that I could be in my office with my team,
yep.
and we can all get together, and we can all take notes, and we don't have to travel. We can just watch it from there.
And you get CE for it. So
and CE?
And CE.
Okay.
Yep.
Sign me up. I mean, oh my gosh. So
we did that in DC. We had 16 offices who they went on a Friday in their office. They live streamed with us. They had the homework. They did the role playing, but they did it in their office because they couldn't make our event.
I mean, when someone says, I can't take my team to CE because I can't travel or it costs too much. I mean, really, is there an excuse at this point?
Right. Exactly. It's too easy. I mean, look at this, what you're doing right now, going live to your group, what Anissa offers with Platinum, what I offer.
I will say I wouldn't mind being over there in Coronado with you, though.
I don't know. Everything but technology is amazing, right? But as soon as I'm out of here, I'm going to the beach. So
so you said there's going to be 3 events. Do you know when and where are those events going to be yet? Or are you still trying to figure it out?
They'll be on my website. We're going to have one in Salt Lake City. We're going to have one in San Antonio. And we're going to have one in, I think, Savannah, Georgia. One in the spring, one in the summer, one in the fall. They'll be on my live events page pretty soon. We're kind of finalizing the locations. For those who come live, it'll be a day and a half. And then for those who stream, it'll be a full day of training. And it's going to be awesome. We'll have 50 people. We're going to be hands-on, focusing on some, hot subjects like phones and cancellations and schedule, like you mentioned. It's going to be awesome. So we'll have.
And then for those who haven't been to the event, my team went to the event. They loved it. They kept on talking about it. Now that I know you're going to be in San Antonio, we might have to make a trip down to San Antonio here. But Laura, let me ask you this. So describe your event. How does it, I know how it is, but how is the event normally? I mean, are they coming in like a normal event where they're sitting down and just listening to you talk, or is it interactive? Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, first of all, it's the coolest event out there because it's all usually front office rock stars. There's not a lot of events for us out there. So I'm just going to put a plug. I've been to plenty of meetings where it's all about the clinical staff and the
Yeah.
clinical team, and front office just kind of sits around. So it's about us, which I love. But there was a lot of teams there too. But there's energy from the moment you come in. There, you know, we've got music playing. I role play. We practice. I mean, one of the things is we do a lot of practice in my seminars and a lot of conversations amongst everybody there, because I want you to go back and be able to apply it on Monday. You know, I don't get that opportunity with the videos because I'm not in your office, so I
Yeah.
can't help you apply it. But in our live events, we can practice and people can ask questions and we can role play. And so it is super interactive. And the feedback I get from that is that's really what people love the most is they got time to get out of the practice to work on their skills to take back into the practice.
And there's no people just hiding and like slinking down in their chair, hiding away. No way. Like my team, they got called out by Laura right away. They're like, "Hey, Laura actually called us out." I'm well, I hope she did. I told them that.
Let me
tell you
a story real fast. We had a doctor who we had an event in San Diego, and the doctor called my team the week before and said, "Can I just drop my team off so I can go surfing?" And my team said, "No, you're registered. You need to be here." So we knew who the doctor was. So we purposely put him and his team in the front row. I knew who this doctor was.
Don't ever say that to Laura.
We put him in the front row. And then we went to role play, and he stood up because you had to partner with somebody. And he looks at me and he goes, "Are we really doing this right now?" I said, "We're really doing this right now. Get a partner." And by the end, he was smiling and having fun. But you're coming out of your comfort zone a little bit. You're focusing on an area, which is front office, which most doctors don't fully, entrench themselves into. And then we're practicing having difficult discussions, getting patients to accept treatment and talking about money and cancellations. But if we don't get better at this, we're not going to help our patients get their dentistry. So we've got to improve in these areas.
So Laura, I want to ask you this question. This is my own question here, and obviously the workforce now, right, is a little different from maybe when we started our careers. Okay, they're a little different now. I'm not going to put a label on them because I think a lot of them get hated when we put label. They're like, "You old fogies always put a label on us," but it's a little different, right? So I'd like to ask you, as someone who had to deal with that in your own practice, and also just working with other dentists who have the same thing, with the different mindset nowadays in our workforce and our team, what's the best way to, I guess, navigate that?
I think that's easy, honestly. And there's lots of speakers around this. I go to events outside of dentistry all the time. If you give our workforce a purpose, if you talk about what your goal is, where you want to go, there's three things that the team needs to know. Who are you? Why are we here? And where are we going? What do we stand for and where are we going? And if you as a leader can tell them why you're here, what you stand for and where you want to go, if they buy into that, they will work their butts off for you, right? If you tell them, here's how you log in, here's how you schedule an appointment, and here's how you clock in and out, they're going to clock in and out and schedule an appointment. They're going to go home, right? If they stick around for a long time. So really talk from your why. And if they have the same why or a similar why as you, there's no question. I mean, I've got a team full. I've got 14 people on my team now, and most of them are from that workforce, and they're working harder than I am on my goal, which is amazing because they buy into it. They believe what we're doing.
I love that. So basically, they need to know what your why is, right? Your practice why, your why, and if they know what it is, and if they buy in, they'll work hard. I love that, as opposed to
just do the job.
Being lazy. All you care about is taking selfies. All you care about is this and this. And no, it's a lot deeper than that. It's a lot deeper. They want to be a part of something that's special.
And dentists think they communicate well with their patients, but most of the time they don't communicate enough. We can't read your mind. We don't know where you want to go. We don't know what we stand for. We don't so. Tell us why you became a dentist, why your practice. Every year when things change and you want to go after a new goal or a new thing, tell us. Because if we buy into it and we believe it, we will support you 100%. But half the time the team, they're like, I don't really know what my doctor wants to do, or I don't know what we stand for. I don't know where we're going, So communicate that with your team.
That is you've been dropping a lot of great advice, a lot of great pearls, but that is, for me, that was huge. I love that. And guys, if you love that too, type in the comments section, front office rock. So Laura, I know, I told you I was going to bring you on a Q&A, right? I'm going to bring you on a Q&A, but let me ask you this: for these events that's coming up, And and I can bug Janelle. Maybe I'll bug Janelle. That's kind of like, I kind of go a roundabout way and ask Janelle, hey, can you hook us up with something? But for those events, could you do something for our groups who our group members?
For you, of course.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it.
We love this group. I have to tell everybody a story, and I don't know if I told this last time we talked, but I avoided giving a discount, a deal, and you kept calling me, and finally you're like, don't you understand? Don't you like a deal? Don't you like to save some money? And I'm like, well, yeah. Everybody does. I'm like, oh, that's a good point, Glenn. Sure, right? And now, I mean, you guys are one of our favorite groups, of course. So, of course, we will definitely get you guys some sort of a special for the event.
Awesome. Yeah, because I can't wait. I'm going to tell you this right now, Laura. You gotta save a seat for me and my team. I'm going to be in the one in San Antonio, 100%. I'm going to be there. It's such an awesome event, and man, I'm going to be missing you in Utah. I was supposed to be going out there as well. I know.
Do you know? It's supposed to, there's a chance of snow. It's going to be like 26 degrees at nighttime. I'm in a tank top and shorts right now in San Diego. I don't even know where my boots are. And it's supposed to be 26 degrees at nighttime.
Maybe you have it in a box from when you moved from maybe it's in there somewhere.
I got to find it because I did it last year. They take us up to the summit and it's so cold. And I had a t-shirt on. So I need to be better about it this year.
Yeah. Wow. I can't believe, we've been talking for like almost an hour here. We've been talking for almost an hour. Guys, okay. If you have any questions, you can always type it in the comments section. And if I see those questions, I will tag Laura in that. But Laura, I wanted to give you the last word here before we jump off here. And we're also going to put all the events that are coming up and also a little link for Front Office Rocks as well. And guys, for those who are wondering how you're going to implement it, well, she just talked about it. Hit the rewind button. But if you have any questions, like I said, I'm going to tag her. I'm going to tag her right-hand gal as well. I'm going to tag her in that as well. She's awesome. She'll answer those questions as well. But for Laura, can you give us some advice? All the practice owners who are watching right now, practice owners who are dealing with, a million things, right? Low reimbursement, corporate dentistry everywhere, dealing with our staff, trying to balance being a dentist, being a practice owner, and being a family person as well. There's so many things that we have to deal with, and you kind of live that life. You understand, So all the practice owners who are just watching and listening, what kind of advice would you give to them?
I would say just remember that you bought the practice, you opened the practice to put your names on the wall. It's your practice. You got into dentistry to help patients. You got into dentistry because you care about people. And I think over time, what's happened is you've been beat up potentially, whether it's you've had bad team issues, you've had insurance issues, you've had bad patients, whatever. You got to take back control of your practice and your life if you're at that point. If there's something that's stressing you out on a Sunday night before you go to work in the morning, it's time to identify that and get some help. Whether it's, maybe it's time to let that person go that's on your team. Maybe it's time to train them. If you've got the right team, you invest in them, they're going to bend over backwards, like I said, for you. So give them some support, give them the training they need, give them the resources they need to do better. If you need leadership training, go, come to all these conferences, go to Anissa's Platinum training. If you need, there's no excuse anymore. So I guess I would say just kind of get out there, find out who can help you, get the help you need, take control of your practice again, because it's your name on the wall. All the team members and the patients come here to see you. And if you're working for them, that's the problem. You need to realize that this is your practice and there's no excuse anymore. There's plenty between the conferences and these live events like this and your podcast and interviews. There's people out there who can help you.
I love it. I had a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, I had Scott Luna on not too long ago, and I asked him for the same advice, and he said, "Just do it." I'm like, "Dude, are you really gonna just steal the Nike slogan?" But he goes, "No, I'm serious." He's like, "Just do it." So just do it, meaning take the classes, take the training, just get off your butt and just do something.
And Breakaway, he's an amazing speaker. I've been to a couple of his seminars, highly recommend them too for doctors and stuff, but just do something. There's no excuse nowadays. There's too many people out here trying to help. And with all this technology, we have the availability to do it. So just do it. I agree.
And you know what? We have someone from the comments here and they said, yes, take control of your practice.
Yeah, right. Step away from the drill. You're not going to fix it by drilling one more tooth.
I just have this book right here. Just want to let you know, guys. Hey, you know what? You can get this off your website, right? Oh, she jumped off. She jumped off. Well, guys, thank you so much for jumping on. That was awesome. I'm going to put in the comments section Laura's links and also her events. We'll get the Nifty deal for it as well. But thanks so much, guys, for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.